Welcome back to Season 3 of Living It Up. And parents, this is just for you. I want to give you some practical tips and some practical advice from the Word of God on how to successfully raise a Christian teenager. So guess what? Let's get right into it. That's right, I'm going to do a series entitled Help, There's a Teenager in My House. Number one, you got to have rules and rewards. That's right, you can't have rules without rewards, and you can't have rewards without rules. You need rules and rewards. Now, sometimes people say, well, I was raised to do what's right, and when I did what's right, I didn't get a reward. I just that's what you're supposed to do. But you know, God doesn't even treat us that way. In Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6, it says that God is a rewarder of those that diligently seek Him. I mean, I could take you all over the Bible where we see when we do what's right, we receive blessings. We receive a blessed life. And when we do what's wrong, we receive the consequences of those actions. Well, that's how you have to train your child. That's how you have to train your teenager. Look, when you do what's right, you're going to receive some blessings. When you do what's wrong, you're going to receive some consequences or some punishments. You know, laws do two things. They reward the good and they discipline the bad behavior. If you take that away from laws, you don't have laws, you just have opinions. And a lot of times I see parents trying to raise their Christian teenagers on opinions, trying to get them to, hey, why don't you look at it this way? Or, hey, why don't you think about it? No, listen, the laws of God are the laws of God. The rules of the house are the rules of the house. So rules need rewards and rules need consequences. Now, you reward at your own level. You know, some parents might have the ability to reward their kids a different way. Don't be ashamed of how you reward your kids. You reward your kids, your teenagers at your own level, the level that you're at financially, the level you're at with your family. But here's the great thing, is when you invest in your kids and when you make it a matter of prayer, God, I want to help reward my kids for doing what's right, God will make a way. God will give you the ability to reward your kids. And we see that this is the success of Abraham. Genesis chapter 18, verse 19, God says, one of the reasons why He blessed Abraham is because He knew that Abraham would command his household and his kids to follow after the ways of the Lord. So don't be scared of rules as long as you have rewards. Those rules without rewards will make your kids bitter towards you. Rewards without rules will make your kids spoiled. You don't want any of those. You got to walk that balance of rules and rewards. The second thing kind of goes along with that, and that is that you remember when your kids were toddlers, you'd have to train them to do the right thing. You have to be on them almost constantly, right? That's not how we eat food. We don't throw our food. That's not how we talk to people. Or when people talk to you, look at them and answer them. All those wonderful things. Well, sometimes when people train their kids as toddlers, they think their training is done. But no, we've seen that you got to train your kids as toddlers, and then you've got to retrain them when they enter the teenage years. Why is that? Well, because they start developing their own will and they start developing their own choices. So you've got to not only train them when they're young, but you've got to retrain them and re-emphasize those things when they were young, now that they are going into teenage years. Because maturity happens, not just on age, but maturity happens when people begin to take accountability for their actions. And that's what you want your teenagers to do, to grow up and start taking accountability for their actions. And so you have a set of standards for them. And you got to re-emphasize those standards. And you got to say those standards over and over and over. Matter of fact, that's a freebie for you right there. I'm just doing a freebie. But you got to re-emphasize the rules. You got to re-emphasize consistently what you expect of your teenagers over and over and over and over. Anybody that's taught classes, anybody that's talked to anybody that's had an employee before understands and realizes saying something one time usually isn't enough. You've got to repeat, and then guess what? You've got to repeat. Well, they should know it by now. Well, you know, we even have principles here at the ministry that we're reminding ourselves all the time, how we operate and why we operate the way we do. And we have to remind ourselves of those principles all the time, because you can get caught in the moment, you can get caught in a situation, a circumstance. You got to bring those principles back and say, nope, this is why we do what we do. So rules have to have rewards, but also when that teenager starts getting that teenagehood, you got to retrain them. Start all over, retrain them, re-emphasize those things and the expectations you have on your teenagers. Look, parents, be sure to like, subscribe to our YouTube page, turn on notifications. Maybe you don't know how to do that. Ask your teenager, they'll help you do it, so that you know when our next video comes out on the series of Help, There's a Teenager in My House.